where
Sorry.
we are basically a group of companies who provide business advisory services based out in Dubai, UAE. Since 2004, we've had a very wonderful journey in terms of expanding our business. We are proud in saying that we have around 10,000 plus clients to whom we have catered for the past 16, 17 odd years. And that's that base of our clients is what has really helped us in expanding to other businesses. For example, services like immigration services, real estate brokerage services. So this has been our history. um, Ms. Luda, I'm facing some issues in terms of changing the slide.
Sorry, doesn't which change the slide?
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have we are a 360 advisory firm providing all these services. So when we talk about corporate advisory, we cover all the aspect of it in terms of anybody who is looking to set up company in UAE, Qatar, Oman, Saudi, and such other countries. We take care of the entire process in terms of the applications, the paperwork, the residency visas. We provide office solutions as well, specifically in Dubai, offshore company formations, trademark registrations, intellectual property registrations, immigration services. So this is an all in all 360-degree advisory services which we provide to our clients when they have to set up a company in UAE. Real estate brokerage arm is another division which we have very recently rebranded as Signature Habitat Properties, where our team helps people in finding residential homes. So this is a short gist about my company. We have around 1,300 plus live Google reviews, which as a company we are very proud of, because that is definitely a testament to the kind of customer experience and services which where the clients are more than happy to write their reviews to us. So this is something which shows the strength of my business. I will start with the topic now. We are talking about restaurants. On 1st of June 2021, it was announced that there would be an amendment in the company commercial law in UAE, whereby the previous requirement where the UAE national was required as a 51% shareholder was to be done away with. And this was also implemented on 1st of June. On 1st of June, we ourselves have issued such licenses where the UAE national was no longer required on the papers. So this is a welcome move for traders and so many other businessmen who have been operating in UAE since years. And definitely it is also going to attract many foreign investors who are looking to expand their base in the UAE. This one particular point, which many people had apprehensions about previously, now this is no more going to be a point where people would have a second thought in forming a company in UAE. So to go into the specifics of it, the company's commercial law applies to companies which are registered in UAE, which had a requirement of 51%, and effective from 1st of June, 100% ownership would be allowed, which means that these changes are applicable to those business activities or to only those business activities which are classified as commercial under the mainland list of activities. To give you an example, restaurant has got so many different domains, so many different ways of forming licenses here. Somebody could be forming a proper restaurant where meals are served. Somebody could be forming a coffee shop where snacks are served. Cafeteria, bakery shops, ice cream shops, catering services. Now, all these activities, all these business activities, if you carefully have a look at the presentation, the license type, it shows that it is commercial. It is categorized as professional. Because the company's commercial law only apply to commercial activities, these activities particularly or in particular, they do not have any kind of impact or repercussions. These activities, even before the regulations came into force, could be formed as 100% owned by expats. So for this particular industry, this regulations has really not brought any kind of changes as such. The ownership would pretty much still remain the same. Just for the knowledge of how a restaurant or such kind of activities can be formed, there are two kind of legal types in which a restaurant or cafeteria or such kind of activities could be formed. Either it could be a sole establishment if it is one partner or a shareholder in the license, or it could be called as a civil company, that is two partners or more, which is more like a partnership company. In all these activities, a UAE national is still required as a service agent in the license, meaning that the UAE national wouldn't have any kind of shareholding or would not be participating in the shareholding of the company as such, and the expats would be allowed 100% ownership. So this is how the structuring would be formed. One small change which has come is previously we were able to form such licenses as LLC structures, limited liability structures. However, with the change of regulations, now it is no more possible. It could either be a sole establishment or it could be a civil company. There is no other legal structure possible. One thing which I would like to add here is for the existing licenses. I'm sure many of you would have such a question in terms of, if I already own a license where a UAE national is present, what happens to in such scenario? To answer that question, it is possible to remove the UAE national from the licenses where the UAE national is a 51% shareholder. However, the repercussions of these are still under discussions. There is a small news which has come from the Labor Department here, is that such licenses might be required to employ UAE nationals, in their license. We really don't know how far that would be implemented or when that would be implemented. Could be after the expo. We are not really sure, but we are still unclear in terms of the repercussions for those licenses where the UAE nationals are not a part. So this is one point which I wanted to highlight. Going ahead with this presentation, one thing which I wanted to touch upon was how Dubai has very successfully mitigated the pandemic versus the rest of the world. For sure, the F&B sector had been badly hit by the pandemic last year, since all the retail shops had to be closed down. There was a forced lockdown. So for sure, such retail outlets have taken a bad hit. However, the case or the scenario which makes Dubai different than the rest of the world is everybody, most of the population is vaccinated here. The UAE was fast enough in implementing lockdowns in the country, which really helped in controlling the COVID situation and controlling the number of cases every single day. UAE had announced, each emirate for that matter had announced many stimulus packages in order to boost the economy, in order to support the economy. So these things, of course, the expo which is coming on, the Expo 2020, which is scheduled to happen in this October, has really helped in making Dubai or UAE as the center of attraction for so many of foreign investors across the globe. Given this kind of changes where the outlets were forced to not open their shops, that has resulted in a shift from going online. Now people are hitting their food delivery apps on their smartphones, because of which concepts like cloud kitchens, food delivery services, these have become now the biggest revolution in this particular industry and in this particular sector. Everybody out here is, looking forward for either a cloud kitchen setup or tying up with such food delivery apps, because majority of people now, even though COVID has, even though things have opened up, but people are still in the mindset of ordering food home rather than actually going to the restaurant itself. So such things have really fueled the growth in this particular sector. This is one new thing which has very recently been introduced by the licensing authority here. They have introduced an activity which is called as kitchen center. It is again categorized as a professional activity, but this basically talks about cloud kitchen, where these kind of setups, the companies which would have such kind of business activities in their license would be able to rent their spaces to other restaurant people where they could cook meals, etc. So this is one very recent development in light of all these changes which has happened. Of course, it would still go through the municipality approvals, etc., the food department approvals, the sewage and the drainage approvals from the municipality. However, this is a welcome change, which, where we can see that even the government is now trying to support such kind of business activities in the country. We can definitely help to register such kind of licenses, where you could, rather than going for the brick and mortar model, this is another way of how businesses could now operate in this particular segment. I have been very frequently asked about this particular topic, which is that of food trucks, that how do you do food trucks? There are so many people who ask me this question, and I thought of touching this as well in my presentation. Um, Food trucks is very, very, very high in demand in Dubai, because so many tourists come down every year to this country. Yes, given the travel restrictions now, things are not as before. However, we are definitely expecting the flights to open very, very soon because of the expo, and for sure that these things are just temporary. Food truck, if I were to talk about food truck, there are certain approvals required. There are different types of food trucks. Somebody could be talking about just having a stall at maybe a mall or at a beach, or somebody would actually be wanting to have a food truck which is mobile. In both the scenario, the approvals required are quite different. Also, where you place the particular stall or the truck, we definitely need to obtain approvals from those particular areas as well. If I talk about the kind of approvals that are required to set up the food truck, is first of all, we should definitely have a valid trade license copy, which allows us to do this particular business. There has to be an in-depth business plan attached with it. All the approvals from the DED, the Road Transport Authority is required if it is going to be a mobile truck. If it is going to be as a stall, for sure the RTA approval is not required. The municipality would definitely come into the picture because of the hygiene purpose. And for the mobile trucks, we have another approval, which is hazard analysis critical control point. Well, all these approvals, the major thing is that we need to submit layouts of the kitchen, the kind of instruments that you're going to use, the kind of menu that you would be serving in that particular food truck. So all these things, goes for a review to the municipality and all the other departments, and only upon their approval can somebody actually start with a food truck business. So this is very brief on how the food truck business can be done. And we have very successfully registered food trucks for our clients as well. So as matter of, to close the presentation, one thing which we have observed is there is a trend where everybody is shifting online now, and hence concepts that of cloud kitchen, food delivery apps, etc., has gained a tremendous, dramatic upsurge in the kind of demand which is there in this particular country. And the existing restaurants could also see on how to take advantage of this particular opportunity. So I would like to end my presentation here, and if there are any questions I would be more than happy to answer them.
Colleagues, you can raise your hands if you want to ask by voice and have any discussion. We have, Mamta, we have one question from Charlie from Social Nations.
Okay, to answer Mr. Chadi's question, can LLC restaurants operate without UAE national? Well, yes, the existing restaurant owners can definitely remove the UAE national from their licenses. Of course, there is a consent required from the UAE national, since he will have to sign the memorandum of association in the authority. If there is a consent, there is definitely a possibility to remove the UAE national from the current existing LLC licenses. For the new ones, it is just not possible to form LLC companies at all. It's either sole establishment or it's a civil company where the UAE national would be acting as a service agent. So this is to answer that question. We have another question. Can food trucks, once registered, actually move around, or they need to be stationary? Well, it completely depends on the approval from the RTA. Generally, most of them are stationary. And there are quite a lot of approvals required in terms of where you're going to place the particular truck. For example, if you're going to place it in a beach, for example, we definitely require to have a NOC from that particular jurisdiction, the authority which is governing that particular jurisdiction. And apart from that, all the other requirements, the documents which I mentioned. I hope I've answered the question. Are there any other questions? For companies
yes, we
with
can
several...
discuss some. Sorry, we can discuss some issues that you have in your work. So, according to licenses, more details if you have questions there.
We have one more question. It says, for companies with several partners, what is the smallest percentage one partner can hold? Well, decimal points are not allowed, so you could have 1%. However, what you need to ensure is on the mainland licenses, there are only 2 partners or shareholders who would be eligible to get an investor visa. All the other partners would be getting only employment visa. So there's only a limit to the number of visas for the investor visas, but yes, you could have several partners till 1%. Most welcome, Mr. Martin. Any other questions? I'm open to any other questions, need not be limited to just restaurants. More than happy to take any other question for any kind of company formations.
Okay, then if no more questions, so colleagues, thank you very much. I will send one more. Sorry,
okay, so we have a review from Mr. Chadi, who is also a client. Thank you so much, Mr. Chadi, for your lovely reviews. And I'm happy that you're happy with our services.
Thank you, Chadi. So let's finish then. And we will send all the materials, and for sure you can contact Mamta and find color after our webinar if you have more questions after and some issues in your business. So thank you very much for joining.
What I will do is, let me just send my email address. So if there is anybody who's looking to reach out directly, more than happy to answer them.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you all. Have a nice day. See
Thank
you.
you so much.
Yes, and making great deals. Thank you.
Have a great
Goodbye.
day. Goodbye. Thank you so much.